Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we are diving into a topic that I know can sound pretty academic and a little intense, grounded theory. But trust me, we're going to break it all down. And it all starts with a feeling that I bet a lot of you know all too well. You know that feeling, right? You're staring at pages and pages of interview notes, maybe some field observations, and you're just totally overwhelmed. It's like looking at this giant jumble of information and having no idea where to even begin. So, how do you take all that chaos and actually build something meaningful?
Well, that is exactly where grounded theory comes into play. It's a method for turning all that raw stuff into a really solid explanation. And to make it all click, we're going to use what I think is the perfect analogy, just building with Lego.
Okay, so picture this. You've just dumped a giant box of random Lego bricks all over the floor. You've got wheels, windows, little red blocks, big blue plates. It's a colorful mess. This, right here, is your raw data. The question is, how do you turn this pile into something cool?
Well, you kind of do it in 4 natural steps. First, you just start picking up pieces one by one, spotting what they are. Oh, here's a wheel. This is a little window piece. Then you start sorting them, right? You put all the wheels in one pile, all the windows in another. After that, you get an idea. You decide, okay, I'm going to build a car. That's your main build. And finally, you put it all together and explain how it works, how the wheels connect to the body to make it roll.
Now, you're ready for this? Here's where it all connects. Those simple Lego steps, well, they just have fancy research names. Spotting the individual pieces, that's called open coding. Grouping them into piles, that's axial coding. Deciding you're going to build a car, that's selective coding. And explaining how your awesome car works, you guessed it, that's theoretical coding. And just like that, you've pretty much understood the entire core process of grounded theory. See? Not so scary.
So, this whole clever idea, where did it even come from? Who cooked this up? Well, for that story, we've got to jump back in time to the 1960s.
So here's the formal definition. And the most important words here are generating theory. See, before this came along, most research was all about testing theories that people had already come up with. Grounded theory flipped that script entirely. It was this radical new way to build theories from the ground up, based purely on what the data was telling you.
The guys behind this were 2 sociologists, Barney Glaser and Anselm Strauss. They were doing this really intense study on how terminally ill patients dealt with dying, and they just felt like the old ways of doing research weren't cutting it. They wanted a method that would let the theory emerge directly from the experiences of the people they were talking to, not the other way around.
So their journey really kicks off in '65 with that groundbreaking awareness of dying study. A couple years later, they published the book that really puts grounded theory on the map. But, like a lot of famous bands, their partnership didn't last forever. Their ideas started to diverge, and that actually led to some really interesting evolutions of the method.
Right, so that original big idea didn't just stay one single thing. Over the years, grounded theory actually branched out. It's kind of like a family tree with different schools of thought, each with its own little twist on the original philosophy.
And the main split happened right between the 2 founders. Glaser, he stuck to what's now called the classic approach. He was all about the theory just emerging from the data, almost magically, with as little influence from the researcher as possible. Strauss, on the other hand, teamed up with Juliet Corbin and developed a more systematic approach. It's a bit more structured, with clearer frameworks. Think of it this way. Glaser wanted you to find the sculpture already hidden in the marble, while Strauss gave you more of a blueprint for your Lego build.
Then, fast forward to the 90s, and a third major path opens up thanks to Kathy Charmaz. It's called constructivist grounded theory. And her big contribution was saying, hey, theories aren't just discovered in the data, they're actually constructed. They're co-created by the researcher and the participant. It basically acknowledges a simple but important truth. The person building with the Legos, well, their perspective is part of the final creation too.
Okay, so we've got the history, we've got the different flavors, but why does any of this really matter? What's the big picture here? What is the lasting impact of this whole idea?
Well, its impact was huge. For one, it gave qualitative research, research with words and stories, some serious street cred. It showed it could be just as rigorous and systematic as research with numbers. It really challenged the dominant view at the time, which was that science had to be about hard, objective facts. Plus, it introduced some super powerful new tools, like theoretical sampling, and it really popularized this idea of analyzing data as you're collecting it. It was a game changer.
When you boil it all down, the most crucial thing is this: Grounded theory gave researchers a powerful, creative, yet systematic way to build brand new theories starting from scratch. It empowered them to go beyond just describing what was happening and to actually build solid, evidence-based explanations of how our social world really works.
And that brings us right back to our Legos. Because really, whether you're doing formal research, working on a project at your job, or even just learning a new skill, we all go through this process, don't we? We sort through a mess of pieces, we start to see patterns, and we build something meaningful. So I'll leave you with this to chew on. What has your own journey from messy Lego bricks to a big idea looked like?